Right, before you move on, what we need to make sure is we've got an on and off button which will turn our invaders on and off. We've also got a gun which will move left and it will move right. I know it doesn't look very much like a gun at the minute, but we can change that if we want, and a bullet which will appear. So now what I'm going to do is I want to get my bullet to move. And really, all I'm going to do to get my bullet to move is I just need to change its Y coordinate so it moves up. Now, I could do this using a timer, just like I've used my, I'm moving my objects, my invader object up here. But in actual fact, I could create a new timer if I want to, or I could just use the existing timer. Now, the thing which is going to tell whether my bullet wants to move or not is if it's invisible or not. So, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to double click on my timer object. Now, the timer is currently moving the invaders at the minute, so I'm going to go down to the bottom, and before it gets to the bottom, so I've got my code here which stops the game if the invaders get to the bottom. What I'm going to do here, let's just put a little comment on there to remind me. What I'm going to do down here is I'm going to make my bullet move. Now the way that I'm going to tell if my bullet is going to move is I'm going to see whether it's visible or not. So here we go, let's put a comment, make the bullet move. So here we go. If my pick bullet dot visible, don't forget your double equal sign, true. Now if it's true, if the visibility is true, then I want to do something. I want the pick bullet to move, and I'm going to use this exact same code that I used before to move the bullet down here, my set bounds. So I'm just going to copy this piece of code up here, and let's now plop it down on here to say what happens if the visibility is true. Well, the X location, I want it to stay the same. I don't want it to move. The Y location, I want to change, however. Now, I want it to move up the screen, so I better add, or take away, sorry, because if I want it to move up, so because 0, 0 is at the top, I need to take away the value. So I'm going to take away 10 and put the height. So if I try that there now, what should happen, let's turn the timer on. When I press the space bar, up my bullet flies. But it keeps on going forever. So what I want to do is, if it's visible, I need to do another if statement to say what happens if it reaches the top of the screen. So if pick bullet dot location dot y, its y location is less than 0, it's gone off the screen. So here, let's put a little comment here. What if the bullet goes off the screen? Okay. What I want to do here is to stop it moving. Well, the thing which makes it move is it's visible. So actually, let's put its visibility back to false. And then what I want to do is I want to move the bullet back to be where the gun is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the bounds of the bullet again. So, but this time I don't want its location, I want the location of the gun. So the gun location, X, the gun location, Y. Let's take off that minus because I don't want to be taking anything away at the minute. So I've got it as the X location and the Y location of the gun, but then the width of the bullet and the height of the bullet. So here I've got a wiggly line here, and that's because I've got a double equal sign. Remember, I only do the double equal sign if I'm doing a comparison in the if statement. So let's play and see how that happens. So click to start my invaders, press the bullet to get it going, and what you can see, as soon as it gets to the top, I can refire my bullet again. Now you can probably spot one of the problems that first of all the bullet hasn't gone back to the centre of the gun, but that just takes a bit of tweaking on the X coordinate. I'll let you have a little play around with that. The other thing though is that the bullet will move with my gun. So to tweak that, to stop it happening, is what I need to do is I need to go back to the form. I double click on the form. The thing which is moving your button is the keys down. Let's put a little comment on here. This moves my keys. So here, I only want the bullet to move with the gun if it's invisible. So I'm going to put another if statement in here to say if pick bullet dot visible equals, or double equals true, oh sorry, equals false, i.e. I haven't fired the bullet, open brackets, close brackets, let's put that back so it's in line with this one here. So I've just surrounded this with an if statement to say if I press right and the bullet is invisible, it means it hasn't been fired yet. So I want to move it so it's with the gun. In the other case, I don't need an else statement here because I just don't want anything to happen. I don't want it to move, so it won't move. So I need to do exactly the same there again with my pick bullet down here. I'm going to do an if statement, open your curly brackets and close your curly brackets there. If I click on run, turn the timer on first because my bullet won't work unless the timer is turned on. Here I run it. Now I can move my gun, but when I refire my gun, you notice the items. Now the final thing I've got to do here is I've got to now make sure that I can hit my invaders. So that's the next video.